our guest. I think
Yeah.
you
Okay.
have the
So
floor, Mr. Minteh.
yeah. So welcome to the New Gambia platform weekly talk show. Today we have Binneh Minteh, our guest. We're gonna be speaking about threats on national security and the role of community. Mr. Minteh is a seasoned veteran who understands security and also criminal justice. Actually, is a doctorate degree holder, and he was also in the gendarmerie during the times of Jawara, and of course he also was part of um, Gambian army, and during 1994 coup, he was in the Gambia in the military, so he has a military experience. So we'll let Mr. Minteh to actually run down a little bit of what he does, and then get into our national security issues, the threat to that, and how our community contributes. And I have Sam Ceesay, co-host, panelist, and he's driving now, so he's also gonna contribute. And ask questions if there is any questions or opinions. And we have Alas from Germany, co-host and also a panelist on this platform. So Alice also will give his thoughts, and I also come and then give my 2 cents. So without wasting any time, we're just gonna jump onto this. Mr. Minteh, welcome. Give us a brief rundown of your bio, and then you can say it better than any one of us, and then we can just go ahead and you can just get into the national security issues. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Sawaneh, and the entire platform for inviting me as a speaker about national security on the Gambia. But before I would proceed, I'm going to tell you a bit about my background, although some of you already know. I was a former Gambia National Army / Gambia National Gendarmerie officer. I was a first lieutenant, and basically I left Gambia after the 1994 coup that brought Yahya Jammeh to power. But I had officers training in Turkey, in Istanbul and Ankara at the Gendarmerie Officers Command School. And our focus has largely been on national security. And until today, our officers go there on training. But after I left the Gambia on the very, very harrowing circumstances that led to the summary execution of some patriotic Gambians from Lieutenant Barrow and others, I immigrated to the United States as a refugee under the United Nations Refugee Migration Program. I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and eventually came down to New York, where I attended New York University. I got my bachelor's and master's there in global and international affairs, then proceeded to Rutgers University, where I got my PhD in global and international affairs. But my focus has largely been on security, national and international security. And the reason I chose global affairs, I believe that would give me a global platform to be able to use my background and experience and inform policy nationally and internationally with respect to security. And my research interests are terrorism, counterterrorism, organized crime, cybercrime, of course, and obviously public policy. So I teach courses on criminal justice, in public policy, and international affairs at Rutgers and Seton Hall University, respectively. So to start with our topic today, national security in modern Gambia, what the role of the community should be. it is important for us to look at the concept of national security because the concept of national security has changed over time. And I'm gonna explain this concept in brief, how it has changed, the factors that has led to the changes, and I will apply it to the Gambian context. And I will also build up on that to analyze some of the threats that we face as a country. As we know, our country has already changed from a dictatorship to a democracy we could all accept. So all those changes bring with it challenges and obviously, policy response need to be in line with those challenges. So let's start with national security. Traditionally, when we look at national security, it is concerned with what? The safety and the protection of citizens. And who does that? That is the state. So the state basically is the designated unit responsible for that. But when we look at the state in the state system globally, we look at sovereignty, which means non-interference into the internal affairs of other states. But we can agree that sovereignty has changed over the years to some sort of a collective responsibility. That's why we have ECOWAS in the Gambia today. But if we look at the state as the designated unit, it is also important for us to look at the gravity of the task that the state has in order to ensure that it is able to provide protection, whether it is physical protection for the state, whether it is physical protection for citizens, the community, and all its institutions. So if we look at this task, it brings to light 4 key questions. First of all, it asks, what is the nature of the security that the state should provide? It also asks, what is the nature and the extent of the risk, right, that the state should assess? And what impact has, change in that environment, had on basic interests? And when we look at basic interests, we're looking at economic interest, political interest, social interest, right? And what is the challenge of effective power in ensuring that all these tenets that I mentioned are put into factor when the state ensures that it is providing security and protection. So when we look at that, that brought to light the contemporary notions of national security. So today, when we look at national security, we are looking at human security as well. There, the community comes in. We're looking at security for employment, security for education, security for healthcare, security from fear and want. When we say fear, citizens not afraid of somebody knocking on their door, intruders, as what is happening in Gambia now. Every now and then we're hearing somebody is murdered, businesses are robbed, right? Citizens should not have that fear. So today, national security looks at all that. So in a nutshell, national security, it deals with life and death concerns for the most part, about the safety and well-being of not only the state, but even citizens in general. So over the years, we've seen national security notions change, and our response to it change. And this is very much in line with an observation made by an ancient Greek, Heraclitus, once said in 2,500 years ago. He said that nothing endures but change, which means nothing stays still. So this means it is the current environment in every state that informs security, that informs how the state should respond to security threats, that informs how citizens should analyze threats for the most part. So if we apply this to the Gambian context, it is important for us to look at Gambia's national security historical context. From the Jawara regime, the PPP government, it did a very, very good job by putting into place a security architecture that was informed by the 1981 coup, when Kukwai and other dissidents attempted to overthrow the country and took the country hostage for almost a week. That led to the Senegalese intervention. And what environment did that breed for the Gambia? It brought a new security architecture. We had the gendarmerie, we had the Gambia National Army, we had the Marine, and basically the threats they were responding to at the time was more informed by the state providing physical safety, right, for citizens and the state territory for the most part. The only external threat would be subversive elements at the time. But over time, what did we see happen? We saw that the Gambia started changing. Economic interests started changing. Politics started changing. Society started changing. And the region as well started changing. When we began to see Gambian military officers being sent to countries like Liberia to perform peacekeeping functions. All that brought new actors into the Gambia for the most part. But how did that shape the Gambia's security situation? What impact has that had on Gambia's security situation? We've seen numerous occasions the military led mutinies, obviously. And the military, when they led mutinies during periods of change that was taking place. Gendarmerie was amalgamated into the Gambia police force. So that impacted the security dynamics. And obviously we saw even the economics, the politics, society started changing. We began to see civil society time to time at intermittent interlocks with government. We began to see a lot of things happening. So July 22nd, 1994, obviously, that was the day when Jammeh and others took over. When Jammeh took over, they took over within a security environment that was not very well prepared, not very well responsive to contain the threat. Basically, if we were very well prepared, the threat could have been contained. As one of my commanders rightly put it, Commander Chongan, during his interview with Standard newspaper, he said the army, it was the coup succeeded just by chance, by luck. It could have been contained, but there were many missing points. That is why it wasn't contained. So Jammeh came to power. And Jammeh's ascension to power indeed changed dramatically Gambia's national security architecture. It emboldened the state under his dictatorship. The state controlled everything. The state was deciding the security parameters, right? It wasn't a democracy. It imposed itself on people. It was oppressing, it was repressing, it was exploiting. And that forced several citizens to flee the country, which led to the birth of vibrant civil society organizations in the United States here. Most of us were part of it. In Europe, obviously, we have our colleagues who were part of it, right? Even in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, in Senegal, right? We had a vibrant Gambian civil society organization. So Jammeh's ascension to power brought in new actors into the country. It brought in criminal actors, right? From the sub-region, it brought in criminal actors from South America. Drug cartels were using Gambia as a staging ground. It brought in actors from former Soviet republics that are now Eastern European countries, Ukraine and others. I'm sure we are all familiar with Victor Bout, right? The notorious arms dealer, right? We all heard about people like Babanding, the Malian, who was the money doublers. All these actors does have an impact on, their actions do have an impact on Gambia's security, especially from a national security context. So what is happening today in the Gambia is largely a response to new realities. We were able to take Jammeh out. We defeated him with our little resources that we had from outside. With the help we also had, the way we organized ourselves, we ended up taking Jammeh out. But mind me that the architecture that Jammeh left there, it's still not completely overhauled. One. Two, the actors, the criminal actors that came in as a result of the dictatorship, they are still very, 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 very active in the Gambia. So in order to effectively respond to the threats we face today, we have to look at all these actors. We have to look at all the risks that are associated with them. We also have to look at how we are responding to all these threats. It is very disheartening for us to be hearing, seizures of lump sums of drugs, right? From obviously the organized criminal groups, right? It is very disheartening for us to be hearing citizens being murdered, being raped. Crime that is very strange in the Gambia. We've seen crime that we've never seen in the Gambia, even when Jammeh was there. Raping a 16-year-old girl and cutting the genitals, that's foreign in the Gambia. That's the first time I've heard that, right? People being hung in wells, right? Intruding into a family and then killing young women. These are very serious concerns. How do we respond to that? Of course, we shouldn't fold our hands and not do anything about it. Of course, we have to evaluate the situation. We have to look at the new environment that the new administration brought with it, added onto what was already there during Jammeh's time, and we have to assess it, analyze it, look at the threats, right? Individual threats, collective threats. We have to look at the threats within the country, the threats regionally, to be able to respond effectively. And how do we respond? The community has a role. In criminal justice, when we look at contemporary policing, I'm not saying this is not happening in Gambia. I know we have seasoned police officers, we have seasoned security officers. The role of the community in ensuring that there is that partnership, that collaboration with law enforcement is quite critical. Basically, in criminal justice, there is what we call the street I live in. I was exposed to neighborhood watches when I first immigrated to Utah. My refugee, my sponsor, my caseworker, when he took me to my apartment, the first thing he said to me, don't worry, you are safe here. You may think you are a foreigner here, you are a stranger here, but you know, we have neighborhood watch programs here. In fact, I'm gonna introduce you to the manager of this apartment complex, and you can be part of the neighborhood watch program, right? Believe me, in almost all states in the United States, we have neighborhood watch programs where the community works hand in hand with the police. I know it would come with resource requirements. Gambia, we may not have all those resources, but we can still use the limited resources we have. The gravity of the situation right now, it warrants for us to mitigate in ways where the limited resources we have can be used to mobilize the community, to work with them. Because once you work with the community, you have access to intelligence. And intelligence is key to prevention. It is key to solving complex crimes, even if it is a crime, even if the actors, they are transnational actors. So these are some of the things we need to do. In the Gambia today, what is happening is very, very scary. I met a Gambian citizen about 2 weeks ago in a masjid in Jersey City. And he's been in the United States for almost 40 years. We were talking about some of the security challenges. This man was preparing to go back to Gambia. But he said to me he had packed everything to go back to the Gambia, but he's not gonna go because all these things are happening. He's not gonna be safe. So is that the type of Gambia we want? We don't want that type of Gambia. We want a Gambia where we are all secure, we are all protected. We want a Gambia where we all have equal opportunity. We all have access to equal opportunity. We want a Gambia where we don't have to fear that somebody will knock on our doors, right? And come and kill everybody and take our TVs, right? Our flat screen TVs, our household materials, for the most part, furniture. We don't want that type of Gambia. So the role of the community is integral. The community can be drawn as a partner in this new security dilemma that we face. Oftentimes we hear people saying that, yes, it is normal because when a country is developing, all these types of crimes do happen. We must not water down the nexus of development and crime. Yes, development brings with it its own impact, right? With development, we'll see what? We'll see increase in urban population, we'll see basically changes in demographic dynamics, right? We will see basically new actors come in. But does that mean that it is normal? No. One time I was engaged in I wrote something on social media about the current trends of crime as a national security threat, right? And one of my colleagues made a rejoinder to clearly state that a presidential advisor was once caught saying that it is normal, we don't have to worry that about all these crimes that are happening because the Gambia is developing and development comes with that. Look, we live in America, Sawaneh, you and I, right? Most of our colleagues live in other parts of the world, in Europe, in Germany, in obviously the UK, Sweden, and other parts of the world. But they are not underplaying that, not the least underplaying that. To argue that it is normal because there is development, so these crimes are happening, so we should just fold our hands, right? No. What we need to do is to accept the fact that, yes, development brings with it its own challenges, but how do we respond to those challenges? How do we respond to challenges that come with increased urbanization? Does it mean we should increase and strengthen community policing, build more neighborhood watch programs, let citizens understand that the security of the state is not only a state responsibility, it's a collective national responsibility. We have to work in collaboration. We have to work in partnership with all law enforcement agencies, be it the police, be it the national security, be it the Army National Guards. We have to make sure that we promote that. Unless we do that, it's going to be, the situation will continue to be worse. As I noted earlier on, when we look at the current environment we live in, the environment we live in is very different from the environment of Jammeh's time. And obviously, when we look at Jammeh's time, the environment then, the state was very, it was basically a state-centric approach to security. Jammeh would lock everybody, right? The state provide physical security and all that. But even though Jammeh was doing that, it wasn't sustainable. He was so oppressive and ruthless, right? It backfires, that backfires. And eventually we mobilized, we took Jammeh out. It's a democracy. Democracy brings with it all its challenges for the most part. In our democratic transition, it wasn't done by only us. It was basically our institutions, regional institutions that intervene, ECOWAS. So we have ECOWAS citizens there. We have citizens from other parts of the world, right? And obviously, that brought with it many other new actors, right? So who would imagine today to say that there will still be drug cartels operating in the Gambia? Who would imagine today to say that we will have human traffickers using the Gambian soil, right? That was happening during Jammeh's time. Believe me, it may still be happening. We may not know about it. It may still be happening. There may be human traffickers. There are arms traffickers. There are drug traffickers, right? There are traffickers of all sorts that are happening. And most importantly, technology. Technology, criminals have used technology to advance their objectives, to advance their goals. And today, what is happening in the Gambia with respect to technology, there are scams that are taking place, bank frauds, right? We have seen an intensification of, sex crimes, right? We've seen political figures are taken hostage, right? Maybe some of you who studied cybercrime would agree with me. The Yahoo boys, the Benin cyber criminals, right? There are groups that are linked to South Africa, to Nigeria, right? They are operating in that country. They are scamming our citizens, and all that is taking a toll on our national security. And we also have to look at the threats from transnational terrorist groups. Well, God forbid, they have not operated in the Gambia yet, but we shouldn't rule it out. We have groups operating in Niger. We have groups operating in Mali. We have groups operating in Nigeria. We have groups operating in Burkina Faso. So these are some of the things we have to look at. And come up with policies that would effectively help us mitigate, right? If we cannot contain it correctly. And the best way to do that is to get the community involved. In the Gambia today, we should encourage, I'm not saying the police are not doing a good job. We have seasoned police officers, but I think we need to engage them as members of the community. We need to engage them as partners and basically come up with initiatives to see how best we can contain the situation. My emphasis would be we promote community policing. We promote building partnership and cooperation between institutions, law enforcement institutions, be it national security, be it the police force, be it the Gambia National Army, be it the Marine unit, be it the Army National Guards, to build those partnerships with members of the community. And I believe if we introduce neighborhood watch programs in every town, in every city, in the Combo in particular, let's put the map down. Let's identify the hot spots, the crime areas, right? Let's develop neighborhood watch programs. I think we can do it. We can definitely do it. So I would stop here and hear from our panelists.
You have really given us, thank you, Dr. Minteh, you have really given us a lot to swallow. So without wasting any time, Alice or Sam can come in if you have any comments or questions, and then so we can just go ahead around, and then Mr. Minteh can come back and then answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Minteh.
Thank you.
For the important briefing. In fact, I mentioned this also the last time we got this topic about security. And these are the things I was exactly saying. And you repeat it again. I mean, I'm happy that you are also one of the people who can also have such a good suggestion. This neighborhood watch I brought in also our last topic. But it's not always easy because, I was always saying security is money, and money the government needs to invest. Because if we organize security watches or watching, you have to always, in security, you always have to get incentives to get it cheaper. You understand?
Right.
And then to motivate the people, you need to, Gambia, there must be a goal behind. So
Right.
when there is incentive, then people will be very active. I said it here. They will even work better than the police because they're expecting something. And this thing is not a model of only, it's in the whole world, even here, that the community help the police, because as you mentioned, intelligence is the key. So through the community watching, you can have a lot of information happening around the community than even wearing a uniform, because everybody will run away, And when these people have these incentives to report any case they see in their neighborhood, that is the best. But you need to give them these incentives. These incentives, even in Europe, it used to happen. That's why they change very quickly their old people to police without uniforms, because anytime they report something, they get something for it. That is security. It always costs something, and then the government should be ready to put that in. So the next thing is about the safety, and I wrote it here down. The security, that the citizens should not have a fear, which is very right. But when you see the situation of Gambia today, I think everybody is having fear because of the daily happenings, and these are not nice. And Gambians never knew this before. So, with that politician, or I don't know, advisor you mentioned here, training the people, the country is developing, it comes with things like that. I mean, that is a big excuse. That is a big excuse. Or don't know where are the causes. It's just like before when we have virus or bacteria, you know the old way of thinking. The first thing they do is to run to the Marago, or the devils are following my kid, because we didn't know exactly the causes where it came.
Right.
You understand? So it's just reminding me that, you know. So I think to be an advisor, I'm giving such an excuse. I think that is just trying to show us which level Gambia is.
Yes.
Sorry to say, but we know we were heading. It's very sad though. I mean, when I'm ruling a country and I'm proud to be a ruler, even if I don't learn anything, to be wise, because not all these prominents you see in the world, most of them are not very far. If you know that from your ex-president,
Yes.
but you need to be wise and use the best tools you have in your country and near you. Gambia is having the best human resources.
Yes.
If you meet somebody, if you see what they are doing outside the world, it's just marvelous, you know, and they are Gambians.
Mhm.
So that means Gambians are not stupid. But you know, to be fair to yourself and fair to your country, I used to repeat that every time. You have to stop many things. Never say this man voted me. Never say this man was fighting for me to be a president. Never say that is my father or that is my tribe. You know, your focus should be the development of the country. You should not care who is doing that. Hold the best people to go forward.
Yes.
You understand what I mean? And this is what we are lacking.
Yes.
Because if I have a good advisor and this advisor don't know the cause of the criminality in the country, that is very sad.
Yes.
That is very, 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 that is a poor certificate. You understand? So if you want to be a president, you want to rule the country, hold the best people who are going to advise you about, for example, the topics you are saying about earlier. This should not be new for a president. If that person is interested for the security, you understand? He should have, you said this structure was there before Jame. Jame came and changed the structure. So that means this government should have tried to bring that back or even make it better.
Absolutely.
Because those days, say Jawara time was 5 people, Jame time was 10, Barros time is 20. So he's having even harder job, and the person coming is having the hardest job. So if I say and fighting for such a position, I should be ready. I should be ready and have the best advisors. If I am not well schooled, to give me the best advices, because I'm ruling. I'm responsible for 2 million people. It's not, you know, this mentality. Vote me, I'm a president, and sit in state house, and that's it. And I know many are yearning for that. They are not coming to work. That's why we are still there, or even worse, or I don't know how to call it. You know, we wonder why other countries are just going miles away from us, leaving us back. Why? Because we are not organized, and we have this mentality. Even the voters, I will not only blame any government, but even the voters are also part of the problem. You understand? We are seeing what other countries are doing. We have to ask ourselves, how do they do that? How is their government working? So next time, whom am I going to vote? What is my responsibility as a Gambian to vote somebody? Because if I vote anybody wrong today, that person is killing you, I should also know that I'm part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should take my responsibility. So why should people say that is my uncle, that's why I have to support this party, even without knowing the agenda of that party? Even don't know whether the leader is going to work or not. That is the responsibility of the citizens to open their eyes and know what they want. If they want Gambia to go forward, or if they want to have security, you said here citizens not to have fear, but they are now. Even we in Europe are, because we are having relatives there, and we are seeing that people are being killed just like that today. Which is a repeated thing. Every week you see something new. And these are new in Gambia. That means the security failed somewhere. You understand? I would not say the police don't do their job. They are doing tremendous job. Because if you see when they make a raid, what they all, but they are few. I said it here.
Absolutely.
You cannot have 5 people, even if they do their job 100%, and expect them to take care of 2 million people. I mean, even if I don't go to school, I should know that. Even if I don't have the best advisor, I should know that myself as a president, to be responsible, because that's why I fought to sit there. You understand? But sitting there, this mentality in Africa is just to go and enjoy sometimes,
Yeah.
The responsibility is not, but the voters are always the problem. Because if I should vote somebody, I must be sure that he or she is going to be there for years. So I should try and get somehow a guarantee that this person will do it these years sitting there for me or not. If we don't do that, then you cannot blame that person too. It's our responsibility. I should vote him because my father is voting him. That is wrong. Nobody is doing that in this world today. Look at here in Germany. I can vote for this party, my wife can vote for that party. But that doesn't mean that we are going to quarrel or we are enemies. No, because every individual is free to take his responsibility in his hand. Not looking for a flag or tribe or such nonsense, or which drum is louder or which Binneh is better. These are the things that are not going to take Gambia forward. And that is the responsibility of the citizens to change it. Even the security. All these things are very important. If you don't have a security in the Gambia for your people, that is also a failed thing. Because we don't even talk about economy.
Thank you.
So, but look, the security failed. We are having, and these murders, if you check, most of them, it's just a suspect from me. These people doing it, sometimes they are not there for themselves. So that means there is something going around, maybe, that they don't even feel like human beings. And the danger is always drugs, which we don't have also a security for the country. We don't even talk about a bag, now we talk about a full ship, tons. So if we don't have a security that these things happen to just get a gate to the citizens, there is no surprise, no doubt that, I don't think that happens. But if that is the case, then we can expect also more cases. And to have more cases, you need definitely a security in the country. So, I mean, about cyber criminality, I wrote it also here. This is also a problem. I think the whole world is having problem, not even Africa, Yeah, because, I mean, the technique, I myself, I'm a technique fan, but if I see how rasant it goes, sometimes I myself used to have fear because I know what's possible. You understand? So that is not even something for Gambia. Even Europe here we are having. I mean America, they are having that problem, to get a security, because it's not something. It's virtual, It's not something you can hold, I myself, I can do the worst thing now and sit somewhere drinking my coffee. So that is a style of criminality. You need a very high standard of security, even to start with. And these are the things we don't have also, not in the Gambia. You see what is happening in the Gambia yourself. The last time I got a story, this boy was sitting in Birkama, I don't know, trying to oppress a girl. We call the girl, and the girl should take out the clothes and things of that nature. And he was sitting in Birkama, and he was showing his profile as a white man in Europe. Can you imagine that? So how can a poor government who cannot even buy the police a walkie-talkie get security for that? This is a problem. This is a problem even for Europeans, not even Gambia. So that means the government has to do more to secure the people, even in cyber affairs. It's not an easy thing. It's a big problem. So for me, I think that's enough. Let Sam come in.
Yeah, thank you, Alas, for that.
Thank you, Alice, and thank you, Dr. Minteh, for sure. You gave a great detailed description and analysis of security in general, and we really appreciate your time and thank you for that. My little contribution I want to say is I'm going to start with the top, because in our Constitution, in the 1997 Constitution of the Gambia, I believe it's section 78. I may be wrong on the section part, so don't take me for that. But there is a clause in there. The Constitution stated that there shall be a National Security Council that consists of the president, the vice president, the CDS, two members of the National Army nominated by the president, the the director of the National Intelligence Agency, the Inspector General of Police, and the president's national security advisor. So if we have all of these people in our National Security Council, and we still have security issues, and we haven't seen any one of them came out to address anything with security, well, for the most part, maybe once in a while we've seen something, but for the most part, I call that as a very ineffective Security Council and need to be dissolved. If I were the president and I see all this happening in my country, I'm going to look at the National Director of Intelligence Agency. I'm going to look at the Inspector General of Police in the face, and I'm going to tell them what is happening in the country and what are you guys doing here? And my National Security Advisor, I'm going to ask him, what is happening? What is your advice on this? What do we need to do? Because we can't sit down and fold our hands and let people figure it out. That should not happen in any country. So, you know, part of our problems in Gambia is that the lack of the leadership skills and the lack of people getting up and taking action. We see things happening. We watch things happen, and we continue to let things happen, and nobody stands up. The person that needs to stand up and take action does not stand up and take action. So I think that Security Council need to be dissolved because they're not effective. They're not doing what they're supposed to do to protect people. And so it needs to be dissolved and get new people in there that are going to take action and take action. And when I say take action, really come up with very aggressive measures that's going to address our security issues in our country. That's going to say, all right, number one, let's take care of the people that we put on the line to go protect our people. So let's pay our security people more. Let's give them a better pay for them to be able to risk their lives. Let's give them the equipment and tools and technology they need to be able to fight crime. They need vehicles. They need tools, technology. They need weapons. I mean, heavy weapons to be able to combat these criminals that are going from place to place and robbing people, you know, with guns. And we expect police to go out there with flashlights, you know, to attack somebody that has a gun. I mean, what are we thinking? Do we think that they're going to do that? They're not going to do that for the, I don't know how much they even pay them, you know, with the small amount of money you pay them, you give them a flashlight to go find criminals and fight them with guns and weapons, and they have cars and you don't even have a bicycle. So these are things that we need to look at. Our Security Council need to look at all of these and say, you know what, we need to prepare ourselves to be able to fight these people. And to be able to fight them, we need to be better than them. We need to have everything better than them to be able to go after them. So once they have all of those in place and pay them well, and of course, like Dr. Minteh said, the neighborhood watch is very important. Getting the community involved in handling security issues is very important because the community can give a lot of good information, and information is powerful. When they get that information to be able to go after these people and go and I said this on my WhatsApp forum too, to make sure that they go on the offense. Don't wait for criminals to commit crimes and then go look for them. Go after them before they even commit crimes. Hunt them and find where they are, get them, capture them, and take them in and really look at what they have. Anything that they do that's illegal, take them to the court system, prosecute them, put them where they belong, in the prison. And anyone that is not a Gambian citizen and was involved in a crime, you jail them after the prison time, send them back. Just send them back to their countries, get them out of our country, and send strong messages and let the law take its course. Let the justice system take its course by really coming down heavy on these people, set an example. And of course, all of these also need to be televised so the Gambian people know, yes, they're doing their job, but criminals also know, now they catch me, I'm going to be on television. Everybody's going to know I am the one that's doing this. And all of this, these are things that they need to do, and to be able to combat all of this. So neighborhood watch is very, very important. Like I said, need to be part of this. And I think community police, very important. The other part I wanted to say is, if the government can just supply the police their vehicles and everything that they need, a simple security deterrent, a crime deterrent is a police car sitting in a neighborhood. You give police vehicles. I'll take an example where I live right now. When I bought this house that I'm in, 2 houses or 3 houses before my house is a police officer and there's a police car. You come 1, 2, 3, I'm the 3rd house. You pass my house, 1, 2 more is another police officer with a K9 and there's a police car sitting in their driveway by my house. And I talk to them every time, our kids go to school together and we meet at the bus stop, they pass my house and in the morning we're talking, there's a police car sitting out there. You pass that house, do you come to the last house before a pond? And across the street from the pond is a police officer with a K9 sitting out there. If I go out right now, his car is sitting out there. You go to the end of our street, you turn around the next street, there's a police officer behind this other one. Police car parked out there. All of these are examples that will really deter criminals. So do I expect any criminals? Yes, I can be as happy as I am. I can say chances are there's nobody coming here. And since I've been here, I've not seen any criminal activity on my area, because anytime you pull from either side of the direction, you will see police cars sitting out there, and all of those police have canines. They have those dogs with them. You can't run past those dogs. You can't overrun those dogs if they let them out to hunt you. So these are things that Gambia need to get into. That's why I wanted them to equip our police officers, give them what they need, pay them well, let them risk their lives to protect us, but give them the tools they need. And when they go home with those police cars and leave them in their front yard. They leave them out there. People see that this is a police car. If you're a criminal, you go into a place and you see a police car, you cannot outrun. They can come out. That they have guns. If you're going to run, they get in their car, they're going to catch you. They have guns and they have canines and things like that. Is a deterrent. We need to have this many spread out in the Combo area. Think about every police officer that lives in the country. Maybe not necessarily every police officer will have a car, but we need to provide enough vehicles that every community you go to, there are police officers here, there's one over there, there's one over there. When people know these are happening or these are around in our neighborhood, it's a good deterrent. And again, with the help of the public, community policing and the neighborhood watch, sending all of that information, anytime there's a call for any criminal activity, you'll see police cars coming in all directions. I mean, there's no way they can escape. They're going to apprehend them. They're going to take them to prison. They're going to prosecute them and they will face jail time. And this will be the breaking news that should be on television for everybody to see that something happened somewhere and police captured the person. So every criminal knows that now if you do something, they will catch you and you will be on television. Not only are you going to embarrass yourself, you're going to embarrass your family and your friends and all the people that know that you're the one that caused that problem or that went to rob somewhere and you got captured. well, it's going to send a very strong message. And I think that's one way to help deter criminal activities in our country. So I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think
Thank you, sir.
guys have given a tons of information. So I would have take this opportunity to just, you know, probably fill in the blank spaces if there is any. All right, there are probably some blanks, you know, that in any conversation you might have some gaps that. So that's why I come in. So national security is the key. Even Jammeh, the deposed president, when he was going, he told President Barrow one thing: if the country is not secured, you know, always remember you don't have a country. Even the man who actually put us in this whole mess gave a good advice when he was leaving. So it must be very important. But the sad thing is, I don't think Barrow will listen. I don't think the president listened. Because if he listened, he wouldn't have recycled the same people who actually put us in this mess back in our security system. If you see, there's no reform. I wouldn't call this a reform. The same people who were there are still serving, you know, security. Why? The president knows best. Perhaps he feel that is much better for him in perpetuating himself in power or otherwise. But we are seeing a lot of problems, things that has never happened here. Even Jammeh on his audio that he sent, he said something, and I don't agree with him, because somebody who killed like him cannot even say he value life of a frog. But he said when he was in power, even the frogs were protected. I laughed. Well, if you value the life of the frogs, what about humans that we are hearing in TRRC? So that kind of contradicts itself. But that's Jammeh for you. I mean, he, you know, a clown. He would say stuff like that. But what I'm saying, actually, but we haven't seen this during his time. We have to give him credit for that. I mean, we haven't been, we never saw people dying because of attacks. If people disappeared and so forth, we know that was his criminal games. But in terms of people are dying and then the government are just looking at things like this, you know, our national security, our security system is kind of flawed. But one thing we have to take a step back. Why are we in this mess? I think we don't have, our intelligence is the failure in this. Everything comes around intelligence. You know, I think people in the security sector, they don't have the intelligence. And how do you go about having the intelligence? Information sharing. Like you guys are saying, you know, neighborhood watch, you know, like community policing, all those are part of intelligence. Having the sophisticated equipments to be able to censor or tap people's conversation, or having places covered, having your eyes all around people, communicating, you know, different police stations, you know, in communication, having higher tech, you know, communication devices, and having ready vehicles, you know, that could go in the presence of police, like Sam was saying. I mean, those are the ways to deter crime. And also, when people are caught, you have to set an example. Don't just slap them by at the back and then let them go. Oh, I cannot find this person who is responsible for this. What kind of system is that? You have to find somebody who is responsible for those crimes and set a huge example. You know, put it, you know, let it be covered. Their trial even be covered, you know, in the national television, just to show people that, you know, this is what you get. I'm not in favor of, you know, death penalty and stuff like that, but I think, you know, crimes need to be really, really punished. If people are seeing that they are punished for stabbing somebody or, you know, killing somebody, trust me, they will not kill. And I also agree with the fact that if these folks are foreigners involved in these crimes, they should be severely dealt with and then deported, because you cannot go to someone's country and perpetuate crimes. That is so bad. I mean, that's not the reason why you should be there. So the government need to look at intelligence, you know, the security sector, and make sure that the intelligence are well improved to put everything in sync. The people in charge, let those folks understand that, communication, giving leads, it's all about that. Giving leads, people giving tips, call this number. If you see anybody, misbehaving, or somebody acting like kind of mentally out of there, before the crimes happens, call the numbers. All these things should be available. We are in a social media era. All this information should be circulated. Sensitize the citizen. Tell the citizens that you own this. Have organizations in different, villages and areas who are responsible for, for looking out for one another. Be your brother's keeper. Be your sister's keeper. So once we sensitize our people and we give even reward for people coming with, informations, then everybody will become, everybody will become involved in security. We are security. It's not about only the police. So you guys have really, really nailed that on the head. So what I want to ask Mr. Minteh, Dr. Minteh, is that in his, testimony, not the testimony, but in his, in his deliberation here, I haven't seen him steadily pinpointing the fault of the leadership here. I would like to see what is his stand on that. And then the fact that, we are seeing the same faces, recycling of the same folks, security sector. Mr. Minteh, I just want you to comment in it. Give responsibility. Let somebody be accountable for this. And if you can give your stand on that, and then also for the Gambia's case, we can talk about cybercrime and all that. I'm not too worried about those things, because half of the population perhaps are not in on the internet, or you have they don't have this tools, they don't use credit cards and so forth. But right now, specifically, what are the things that we can do, that this government can implement, because they're not doing it, that could resolve the stealings? It's too many stealings. They stole my boy. He went to the Gambia. They stole his whole house. I was there. They nearly stole my whole house. And then this is not only happening. This is happening in local level. Marabous are getting involved. Sometimes they said, you come to your house, even if you're laying down, they can even put, take your thing and start saving your head without you even knowing it, and they steal from you. So this is our country's situation is getting out of hand. I'm telling you, all these bad things are happening, not only magically, but they use some spiritual means doing this. When people told me their stories, I was like, what is this? And some people are saying they are hypnotized. Somebody has called me from Gambia and said he was hypnotized for almost 100,000, and he was told to go and get the money. And I said, are you kidding me? He said he sweat. He gave the money without knowing. He wasn't conscious. So you have all those are criminals who are doing these things. So how do we combat this? How do we make sure that our people are safe? How do we make sure that we will not see knives with people in the street? Because they put some folks on the on WhatsApp, how one kid carrying a knife in the middle of.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
It's too many illegalities going on. So what is the fix now, so that this government can perhaps, if they are listening to this show or other souls, they can probably put that into implementation. So that's my question for you, Mr. Minteh.
Great. I'm glad you brought that the point about leadership and our institutions and security sector reform, as other speakers have noted. And I'm also glad you brought about the National Security Council. I was waiting for the right time to put all that into context. First of all, the best thing government can do, government should do, government must do, is to build capacity, building capacity within the institutions. And when I say capacity, capacity comes in different forms. One, designating citizens with the knowledge, with the expertise, these leadership roles, as our colleague rightly noted, the National Security Council, for example, right? The constitution of the National Security Council should be comprised of what? Citizens with the capacity. And when I say with the capacity, they have the knowledge, right? They have the background, right? They can look at a security situation and just analyze it, right? And basically recommend policy to operationalize it automatically. So what we see happening across our institutions, as you rightly noted, after Jammeh left, we still seeing the same security personnel, right? Within the security institutions, basically. The National Intelligence Agency, these are the same people who are there. So what change are they going to bring? What do you expect them to do when they, these are people who are named as human rights abusers before a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, right? The same thing appears to an institution like the police, for example. The same thing applies to an institution like the immigration, for example. So if we look at, if we put all this into context, we'll see that capacity is lacking. We don't have the leadership. So we have that vacuum. It is leadership that institutes capacity into the men, right? That they command. And obviously, if the leadership don't have the capacity, how are they able to come up with training initiatives that will enable these officers to respond effectively? One, that is one form of capacity. Two, capacity comes in the form of resources. Yes, we may say we don't have, the Gambia is not a rich country, as our colleague rightly noted. We cannot buy police vehicles for each and every police officer, like in the United States, right? But we can, what we can do is we mitigate with the little resources that we have, right? We look at, we develop models. And the only way to develop models that will help us understand crime trends, crime patterns, is to equip citizens with the capacity to give them the responsibility. You understand? To be able to develop these crime analysis models, right? To be able to designate, allocate these resources in ways where resources can be placed across the community. And these resources basically will work jointly with the community in the context of community policing. Community policing could come in patrols, foot patrols, vehicle patrols. We see in the US, we don't have horses in the Gambia, but then we can come up with, we can have even motorcycles in our respective areas, right? Based on crime models that we have developed, right? And the same building on capacity again, our colleague talked about cyber criminals. Of course, the Gambia is not that advanced, but do you know what citizens can do with a cell phone? They can do many things with a cell phone. How many citizens have access to a cell phone? How many of them have access to the internet through the cell phone? So with the limited resources we have to understand that data is now used as a weapon by criminals to satisfy their criminal goals. When a criminal is able to intrude into a cell phone, it can access all your information, even your bank information, your address, your email, right? Your family information. So the use of data as a weapon has emerged as one of the greatest threats that we face globally. Why do you think all these criminals are operating and they are succeeding in different ways? I mean, you don't have to be physically connected to a computer. You don't have to have a computer to be connected to the internet. You can have just a simple smartphone that will give you access. So how do we help our citizens? That's why I like the former FBI director. He said that shouldn't be an excuse. James Comey argued that to respond to the threats of cyber criminals, whether it is in America, whether it is in India, whether it is in Gambia, whether it is in Senegal, we need to promote and encourage digital literacy. And what is digital literacy? This is simple knowledge that we can share with our community to let them understand the implications of having so much of your information, your data, on even a smartphone. How can you protect your data? Simple things, right? Once we do that, we can prevent a lot of these things from happening. But the most important point, or an important point that one of our colleagues mentioned here, punishment. James Comey, former FBI director, in a cyber crime conference at Boston College a few years ago, argued that unless we punish these criminals, we have to punish them very hard, set an example. Unless we do that, then the trend is going to continue. So coming back to the Gambia's current situation, it is indeed unfortunate that we are still lacking behind, in the sense that reforms that are supposed to take place that will help us to increase and promote awareness, reforms that will supposed to take place to help us build capacity within the institutions. Obviously, those reforms, people have really not seen, any concrete reforms that are taking place, because in a nutshell, we are assigning the same people who were serving in the previous regime, who were responsible for setting the stage for a lot of these security blunders. We've seen those people at the helm of intelligence institutions, at the helm of national security institutions, at the helm of even some policing institutions. So unless and until we embark on what I call, some people think that is too much, but I think we have to embark on an aggressive but progressive security reform. We ensure that citizens who have the capacity, they are part of the National Security Council. We ensure that citizens who have the capacity, they are leading all these task forces in operations, in cybercrime. Look, we don't have a lot of resources when it comes to technological innovations, but the little resources we have, believe me, whether we agree to it or not, the little resources we have has given access to cyber criminals of all sorts. Cyber criminals in West Africa, cyber criminals in South Africa, cyber criminals all the way in Eastern Europe. So we cannot put our hands and say, well, the Gambia is not that advanced technologically. By the way, I would argue the Gambia has made significant advances technologically over the years, from the Jammeh era up to the Adama Barrow era. So I think we need to use the little resources that we have to mitigate all these things, to increase awareness across the community, to basically provide training for our police officers, our law enforcement officers, to ensure that the appropriate resources are available in terms of weapons, in terms of communications, in terms of even even horses. We can use horses. We have horses in the Gambia. Why can't we use horses to patrol our streets? Why can't we use motor bicycles to patrol our streets? Why can't we build that partnership, right, between the community and the law enforcement at all tiers of society, the governorial level, right, at the alcalo level, at the chieftaincy level, and even the street level. So these are simple things we can do. Besides, we have to understand that our youth, the youth of every country, they are quite important in the development dynamics of a country. We have to invest in our youth. And how do we invest in our youth? We can invest in our youth in in many ways. We see Mustafa Tough Construction, for example. Well, he came up with initiatives. He's engaging some youths that are involved in skill development. I think government needs to build up on things like that to engage our youths. Because right now, when we look at our youths, for the most part, we see taking the back way, going to Europe. A lot of our youths, they don't even take education seriously. Yeah, they downplay the institutions we have within our economic sector that they could tap into to build themselves, right? A majority of Gambian youths are in this mindset that they have to take the back way. Only when they live in Europe, when they come to America, you understand, can they make a difference for themselves? So if we look at the 15, 16-year-old young kids who was apprehended by some citizens and it was on social media. So how many of those types of young people do we have? Quite a lot of them. They are delinquent kids. We have to address delinquency. And how do we address delinquency? That is a criminal justice response. That is a law enforcement response. We have to use our laws. There are provisions in our laws that we can use to operationalize within our institutions to put in place at least a framework that will target all these risk factors in our community. So when we target the youths, delinquent youths, we put them in programs, for example, programs that will indeed help them to change their mindset, to develop a skill, to learn a skill, right? To become productive members of society, rather than, thinking about the next opportunity to strike in order to have access, in order to steal a flat screen TV, right? So these are some simple things that we can do. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Minteh.
So I think for the benefit of time, we'll just let Alice and Sam to wrap it up. If you have anything for Mr. Dr. Minteh.
Mr. Minteh, thank you very much for your briefing. In fact, it was very important also to mention the youths and the youths in Gambia. I don't blame them. If you see why every country is focusing more on the youth, these are the problems, and you said it. I used to say it also. Youths are the most important group in every society because they are the people who are going to take the whole responsibility tomorrow. You understand? So it's always better to prepare them for your tomorrow, you can say. Or if you see what you are suggesting, I think that is not in the Gambia. Trying to try to focus on things that is going to make them feel at home and find the economy attractive and all these things, I think they would not even be ready to leave the Gambia or try to commit any crime or something like that. Here too, they don't play with their youths. If you see, you hardly see them standing around in the streets doing nothing or something like that because they are kept busy with a lot of programs. You understand? Some cannot even go to all of their programs. You know, they are having a group here, they are having a group there. You know, they are a part of the fire service team. You know, they are busy. The government is doing that so that they don't just come to such criminal thinkings. You know, it can always happen. But if you see, as a government, these are all responsibilities. That's why I said at the beginning, we should not think just to be in State House, that's it. You know, to rule a country is a lot of responsibility, not how we Africans always try to see it. You know, that's why they always fight to be a president, because the only concept is I sit there, try to eat money. I sit there, try to have a better life. You know, so the next person who wants to have a better life will also fight for the same thing. You know, and this concept we need to change it. You know, being a president, you have to think of your people first. For me, that is the best president. Think of your people first. Don't buy for you any nice shirt before your people get that. That is a good president. Don't buy any house before everybody in the Gambia is living good. That is the responsibility. If we are talking about being a good leader or to lead a country. But the concept we have in Africa, everybody knows. If you sit there, the party starts, you know. And once they are there, they don't want to miss this party anymore. Before they are there, they can say anything. But once they're there, and you know, so that's it. And these things doesn't help Africa and African countries at all.
Thank you.
You know, we should try to forget about these luxuries and nonsense. We're having problems. And again, I wanted to say, Mr. Minteh, when people say Gambia don't have money, I mean, that's the picture they're showing us. But definitely, if you look, Africa is not poor. You
Africans
understand?
are poor.
No,
Africa is not poor, but Africans are poor.
yeah, poor because we don't use our resources correctly. You understand? Because how can I say I'm a poor country? I'm having a lot of resources. You understand? And try to hold the people who come with they need license only. They give me 500 and take my resources. They make billions out of it. Just because I don't know the use of it.
We are denied the opportunity. That is why we are poor, but we are not poor. We are just denied the opportunity.
That's it. That's why I used to say we Africa, which is also a threat to the other nations, because Africa is the only target now. You understand? Because they know that
we can do it now.
we have everything.
1 second, okay?
You understand? Why is the world targeting Africa? Because they know that we are having everything, and Africa is the world tomorrow. You know, so we Africans should know what we also have. You know, but don't let somebody come just to have a license. You give him, and that's it. So this 500, you cannot even feed your people, and this man is making billions, and we are seeing it there. Whether it's mining or fishery, and look, our people cannot eat fish because of. And when we talk about security, many are coming and try to hold all the fish from the coast. Even they don't even come to Gambia. These Chinese trawlers, big trawlers, they'll just come at the coast also without reaching Gambia. You know, so we need security also to go after such people.
Yeah.
So they will also fail money. Maybe they say they'll have no money. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I have before Sam come, I have and I think Farmer also is on, but I have Mary Sox here, one of the presidential candidates.
Oh, Marisa, welcome.
So she want to give an input about this topic. Can we just give 1 second? Okay, Murray.
Welcome.
Yeah, so you are on now. You can go ahead and give your input. I have the panelists listening now.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. I've been following you guys. Mohamed, Sawaneh, hello, how
Hello.
are you?
Hello.
Ngerr, how are you guys
Welcome.
doing?
Welcome.
Yeah, that's
Fine,
it.
fine. Welcome.
Well, I was listening to the program today. It is quite interesting, but I was listening to Mr. Minteh as well, and I send my regards to him. And when we talk about the country not having resources, the country not having this, not having that, it's high time we stop complaining. I think we are full of excuses. When foreigners come here and see how we waste and what we are wasting on, instead of using that, what we are wasting and developing what we have. When you go to a police station, I've been to several police stations here, and it's a disgrace just when you walk through the door of that police station. You understand? It's a disgrace. Police are under-equipped. That's a fact. Police don't have the right, not even a proper telephone or computer, nothing, zilch. The CID office or CIA office or the investigative office of every police department has absolutely nothing. But yet, you have government officials. Every year we have very brand new vehicles, government vehicles. Right now, as we speak, how many vehicles did they buy? Why didn't they buy that for the police departments? We don't say every police can have a car, but at least every police station can be equipped enough so they can fight crime. When you talk about crime and you want to fight crime, how can the police go and fight crime and they don't even have a car or bike or anything? And we sit here and talk about we don't have money. So if you don't have money, how can you buy 100 vehicles for campaign or for, for making a tour, but then you cannot equip people that are taking care of the people, the security. The security is for the people. It is very scary today. Today, I called somebody. I said, I need to be somewhere. I need your husband to come. He said, my husband went out, but I'm scared because now when you go out, even when you carry your telephone, somebody can snatch it from your hand. I have an incident where the police was helping me to get a phone. The police officer, and then you have police officers that don't even know their rights. They don't even know what their job is.
Training.
The police said to me, Madam, I did you a favor by getting your phone. Somebody snatched my daughter's phone. He said, I did you a favor. I said, are you serious? You're doing me a favor? He said, yes, because I had to take a taxi. I have to get into the taxi. I have to go here. I have to run after a man. Then I have to take another taxi. All this with my money.
Sorry.
Just listen to that.
Yeah, normally.
He had to use his own money for him to be able to catch the thieves.
Yeah, that's it. Security is money, and then money should be spent for security.
How are you expecting them to fight crime? How? That is why I said we need a complete reform, a complete revamp of the system. Trust me, there are some very good police officers out there who really want to work. Like this police officer right here that I'm talking about. He went all the way out just to get this phone. But guess what? He had to pay. He had to pay taxes.
They are not equipped.
Huh? They're not equipped. But then let's not talk about, we don't have money, we don't have resources. Like you said, we can use horses.
Yes.
They have horses. In other countries, police are using motorbikes and make them be responsible. If you give a police department a vehicle, hold them responsible so that it is taken care of. It's all about being responsible too. Our country, everybody's lackadaisy. Nobody wants to do anything. A car is spoiled. Make somebody responsible. Make the department responsible. have traffic officers or traffic departments. They make money. How do you make money? Through ticketing. Through ticketing. I once had a discussion with the former IGP, may he still rest in peace. And he said, yes, I said, but it's easy. Even if you make a double paper, you can use that at ticketing. Make it a 3-page with, how do you call it? Carbons. One for the police, one for the person that you stopped, and one you keep it inside the department. That way it shows, there's a track record. Even simple things like that. That's how you make money. That's how each department can make money. And that money can help sustain that department. Simple things.
Yeah, but to control that, they say again, they don't have money for it. Your idea is very good. That is the simplest way, even to make it triple. Everybody should have one, And on the other hand, even if everything was organized, the police can even help themselves with the money from tickets, from charges, and have their own account where they can invest their own needs.
Each police institution can make money by giving. Listen, we are easy to catch somebody just because they have a new car, but then we're not catching somebody with no light. Trucks are running up and down with no lights at all.
Right.
That guy can get a ticket. Bicycles are going out with no helmet, no light. That guy can get a ticket. Some people are running, there's so many things we can ticket instead of stopping somebody with a brand new car. Like I said, it's all about the leadership and what they put on the table as far as making the police departments accountable. Each police department, each sector should have some kind of accountability every quarter to report what they have done.
If you see, I have a big respect to the.
Fine, people start being accountable. Then little by little, security comes in. When you catch somebody with a knife, what are you doing with a knife? You punish that person according to law. But you don't. But it's difficult because when you want to punish, somebody died here. There was a car accident. They caught the boy, but because he's from an influential, they never tried. These are the things that is hurting. We're looking into this organized, familiarized faces.
Nepotism.
All this has to stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's our problem.
Well, I would like to thank our presidential candidate for her input. And I would like to seize this opportunity to express how we are all proud of her as a Gambian, as the first Gambian young female to come out with a political platform for the highest office. Keep up the good job. We are very proud of you. And I would also like to build up on a point that you rightly noted, which basically validated the point that we've been mentioning here, which is the lack of capacity within our institutions. And capacity starts from the leadership of all security institutions. Any government institution, for that matter, it should be entrusted to citizens with the capacity to run those institutions. And obviously, the capacity runs down to resources, as you rightly noted, vehicles. But we cannot say we don't have the money. That's why mitigation comes in. Let's use the limited resources that we have. I think unless and until we do that.
When we talk about we don't have money, how much money do we have to raise?
Exactly.
Fairly.
Let's say police with horses. How many? How much money do you need? It's cheaper than a truck. A pickup truck is how much? $1 million? $1.5 million? Yeah. That's the cost of a pickup truck, a brand new pickup truck.
But the mentality, the mentality. I rather buy a car costing billions that people will say I have a car costing billions, than taking that money and prioritize that, putting it in the institutions where we are lack.
If you go to the UK, 24/7 in the streets is police with horses.
Yeah.
If you go anywhere,
and that is here in Europe. It's possible, I know.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that in Europe.
But
Even
that
here
way,
in
that way, that way is
America, here in America, New York, Newark, New Jersey.
Exactly, in New York, the same thing.
Newark, New Jersey.
And
But you know, that is also money.
Foot patrol. You don't have to be on a house.
It's money, but it's cheaper. It's money, but it's cheaper than a truck.
Yeah.
I know. I just say that just for you to say something. It is also costing money.
Yes.
I mean, I just wanted to say in German. You know, a horse is cheaper maybe than a car.
For campaigning, I'm sure we can buy a lot of horses, and also we can buy bicycles and bikes for some of our police. We don't have these things, but we are wasting money on things that we listen. Our security should be empowered. Our security is number one, because right now people are scared.
That's right. And Dr. Minteh said the cities. Dr. Minteh said the citizens should not have fear.
It's not number one or campaign tour. It's the people. It's our security.
Yeah.
Security first.
In any vibrant democracy, in all thriving democracies, no citizen should fear for his or her life. Citizens should be protected by the state and by fellow citizens. That is our collective responsibility. We shouldn't fear somebody intruding into our house. We shouldn't fear being robbed on the highway. We can put in place a framework that is sustainable. And this framework can be built on the limited resources that we have. We can do it.
Okay, so I think we agree that there are resources. It's just that we don't give priority to this security.
Right, Mr. Sawaneh, I think that's the point.
Priority, Mr. Sawaneh. We're not giving priorities where priorities do. Today, in your house, when a thief comes in your house, you cannot even pick the phone and call the police department. The first thing they will tell you is, well, you know, I mean, then you might as well not call. This is one of the reasons many people are not calling, because by the time you call and they come, you already either killed or damaged or whatever. You just need to run or call your neighbor or scream. You call the police, there's no transportation.
Yeah,
I'm in Gambia.
Don't you think?
When I called the police, by the time they came, the things were gone. Long time.
Don't you think that's what the criminals are also using as advantage, because they know that the security lack?
Yeah,
exactly.
No, obviously, if you look at the crime triangle, the criminal looks for an opportunity, and before he or she strikes, he or she makes sure that there is the lack of a guardian, a capable guardian that will prevent him from hitting. So the criminal puts all that into consideration. So when we apply simple crime models, the simplest of all, look, we cannot say we don't have the resources. We can prevent these things from happening. We can prevent them. Let's equip our citizens with the rightful knowledge. Let's give them the leadership role for them to function, for them to operate. Because if we equip citizens with the knowledge, obviously they are going to operate in ways where they will prepare the men. The men will be very well trained. They will be very well abreast with the laws, right? And they are going to develop models, simple models that will help them understand crime trends and patterns. We cannot say look, you cannot use the lack of technology, for not putting that in place, right? The little technology we have, look, if I take this paper right now, if I go to Sukuta, a seasoned police officer should be able to look at Sukuta, right? Based on the last 3 months of criminal activity, to develop a simple model and put it on this paper. Yeah, and he will be able to, they'll be able to mitigate based on that. They'll be able to deploy patrols, foot patrols, motorcycle patrols, right? Build neighborhood watch programs, right? These are things that we can do. In America, there are small precincts that still use this model. They still have this. Yeah, they still have this. Yeah.
Yes, but Mr. Prior to doing that, if the police are not equipped, how can you do that with, like in America we have neighborhood watch, but this is also tied in with the police. You understand? When we have neighborhood watches and stuff like that. You understand? But also the police is already well equipped and everything is functioning well for that to happen. Because
yeah, but
when
this
you
other
talk
one,
about neighborhood watch in the Gambian sense, what you're saying to equip the citizens and all that, and they're calling the police and still we're getting the same result, then there's no use. First, it should be the security, the security officials that should be equipped first and then in addition,
that's where capacity comes in. When we say capacity building, capacity building starts with that. It starts with the leadership, training is part of it, resources are part of it. All that is what we call capacity building in institutions.
Yeah. So Sam can come in, and we have Famara, then we can wrap it up because we've been up for.
Yep. Thank you all, and thank you, Ms. Hawk. And
definitely, Marie. Yeah.
Actually happening here.
Yeah.
And way forward, which is really to just have a complete reform on our security sector, because it's the key to a stable country. And also, if we want to encourage foreigners and investors to come to the country, stability is number one. And we cannot jeopardize that anything, because then our youth are not going to be employed and a lot of other things will not happen for Gambia. So I just thought I'll just call in.
We really appreciate,
Thank you, Marie. Thank you
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. This is Sam Ceesay. We really appreciate your time and your calling. And I just wanted to say that you kind of reiterated some of the things that I said earlier. On here, and like I said, I'm going to really reiterate this again. We have a National Security Council. The National Security Council starts with the president, the vice president, with all the people that I mentioned, including the Director of National Intelligence Agency, the Inspector General of Police, and all of them. And like I said earlier, they are not functional. They are not effective in what they are doing in terms of controlling security. They need to know what to do to be able to bring the security reform that we need so that our police officers can be equipped with what they need for them to be able to do their job. So that's why I said that if I were the president, I will dissolve that team and get subject matter experts, the people that are going to be effective, that are going to do the work, and make recommendations and say, here we go. This is what we need to do to reform our security system first. Be able to arm and equip our police officers to be able to do their jobs and protect people. So very, very important. It has to start from the top. It's got to be from the leader. It has to come from the leader. The leadership need to know what to do. If they don't know what to do, then it's not going to happen. But equipping our security forces is really is of paramount importance. It's very, very important. They cannot protect us when they're not protected themselves. They cannot protect us when they don't have the equipment. They cannot protect us when they don't have the vehicles to be able to get themselves out there. So all of this comes down to, it all boils down to our National Security Council really need to be dissolved to be able to get the right people in the right places. Because as simple as the way I can explain this is as simple as any leader in anywhere, a football coach that has a team of 11 people playing in the game. Every football tournament that you go to, they beat you. Every game that you play, you are beaten. Every game you're getting beaten. Something should tell you it's about time to make some changes. Change your players. If the goalkeeper cannot catch any goal, every person, every Tom and Dick and Harry gets to that in front of that post and kick the ball, it goes in. Maybe you need to think about changing that goalkeeper. Get him out of there. Get somebody else. All right. So it's the same thing. The players that we have in our government that are not effective, the president needs to say, you know what? It's time to make a change. It's over 1 year. If I don't see, as a president, if I don't see any changes within 6 months from any position, I'm going to think about doing something different. You've got to change something different to be able to get different results. If you don't do that, you're going to get the same results. You cannot keep the same players in the game that are not scoring and that are not doing anything, and you get beaten every time. Criminals are beating us every time, and we have the same people in there that should make the right decisions that are not doing it. Yeah. So let's change. Let's change things around to be able to get the that we need for our country. So we need an overhaul, a total reform. Just like Dr. Minteh said, that's the capacity building. We need that to happen. And there are certain things that, like I always say, I've said this before too, sometimes you have to take things case by case. When it comes to security of people, when people are dying, very important to take aggressive actions. There are certain things you can say, yep, we need to look at the root cause first before we tackle the problem. But one example I've always given is, if a house is on fire and there are people living in that house, when firefighters get there, they're not going to look at the root cause of that fire. They're not going to sit there with their clipboards and look at, when did this fire start? Who started? And come up with preventive measures, how to prevent this from happening in the future. So we need to have people, a quick reform done, and aggressively going out after these criminals by equipping our police with the guns and vehicles and everything that they need, horses, whatever it takes, motorcycles, to get them. We cannot say that we don't have the resources. We have the resource. We're not using the resource where it needs to be used. We're not prioritizing what we need to do. And all of that is, again, coming from the leadership. There should be something up there that needs to happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's give Mfamara a chance. Mfamara just came in so that we can wrap it up. And Dr. Minteh can have a final step. Mfamara, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sawaneh. Very good presentation by Mr. Minteh. Dr. Minteh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Actually, I mean, you guys have said it all. I think the key point is, or the key word is reform, reform, reform. I think that's what we need, because we need reform because the current system is not working. And we have seen a lot of loopholes in the current system that needs to be, regulated for us to be able to respond, to the rate of crime and other, national threats, in our country. I mean, that's the fact, And if you look at the national budget, we have over $1 billion it was allocated to Ministry of Interior, and then over $747 million was allocated to defense. So defense and the interior alone, have a huge resources, which obviously if we manage and prioritize very well, of course, I know we are a poor country, we don't have that much money, but at least with the money that is coming in or allocated every year, we can do something about it. We can do and resolve some of things about it. Now, when it comes to crime, it's not only about internal, but even look at our borders, I mean, the way people are coming, sometimes these are not Gambians alone, that's causing all this trouble. It is people coming in. So if we cannot control our borders, we don't know who is coming in and what type of person they are, and we cannot be able to track them. These are one of the reasons why crime is also becoming very rare. And unfortunately, Gambia is a country where you see our politicians and leaders try to help people who are not even eligible to have our national document. They are helping them because they have their political reasons. So that way, we are just exposing ourselves to a bigger problem, because in any emergency situation, you need to look at how prepared you are. How can you respond? Dr. Minteh said the mitigation. How do you mitigate a crime? And if you look at all our response strategies, our preparedness level, our mitigation level, all of this is not well coordinated. We don't have any national incident, management system in the Gambia, whereby when a crime happens, you see the police and then the other security forces, coordinating efforts. Madam Mariam Sok have just said it. You cannot even have a number to call the police and you get the response on time. So what do we need? We need more vehicles. We need capacity. And do we need more soldiers than the police? Are the soldiers sitting there, do they have much responsibility as the police? Our police don't even have firearm. In certain situations, you go and arrest a suspect and you go with a stick or just empty-handed. It's not safe. We're exposing our police, to those kind of situation where their life is at threat. So all of this needs to come in. That's why the national security is very important. Whatever the government is doing, of course, we need roads, we need bridges, but the national security reform should have been top on the priority in the first 2 years of the coalition government. We should have done with the national security policy and then start implementing in the third and the fourth year. Before the fifth year, we have a structure in place. But this coalition government, that's what they fail in. It's good they're building roads and having nice bridges, yes. But right now, our security is a threat in the middle of the town. Like the incident just recently happening in Westfield. The suspect, is gone before he's been traced, So all of this is a threat to our national security. I mean, that's all I can say because, you guys mentioned everything. So there is money. Let's prioritize the money. And I believe some of our soldiers, because we have more soldiers in Gambia than police, and we need to bring some of these soldiers come and, help the police. If we cannot move them to the police entirely, but there should be in a situation where the police capacity is low, we deploy the soldiers in those areas, especially around the border areas. The police and the immigration can work together and control our borders. That way the police have less responsibility. They can only focus within town. And Mr. Minteh just said it. If a crime rate in Sukuta is you can be able to predict what is it going to be like or how it is like. And you know where to allocate your manpower. Sam just said, if you have a police vehicle in your community, there is less chances that, the thieves or people, because they know that there is a police living in this community, because they are going past by the police vehicle. They know that something can be, rapidly response here. So these are some of the things that we need to do. It's not a rocket science. I think we just need coordination and then put the resources where they are needed, because sometimes in our national budget, you see a furniture coming in every year. You buy furniture every year. You buy furniture every year. When you buy furniture, in the next 5 years, you don't need a furniture. If you buy a computer for a senior person in the office, you don't need a computer in the next 3 to 4 years. But these are stationary budget we are saying, and let's also cut down this money on travels and per diem. And the fuel control system has to be, here, we all drive, I work for the county here, we all have the same station where we go and fill our county truck. And when you come, you have an automated mileage system. The moment you fuel in your vehicle, it tells you what mileage you are fueling it on. And when you come back again, it will record what mileage were you on again. It will tell somebody sitting over there, nobody have to monitor you, but somebody sitting over there can tell that, okay, I have fueled my car this many times in a week. And they will be able to detect, based on the difference on the mileages, whether it is something that is realistic or not. And if it is not, somebody will alert you that you have fueled your vehicle at this particular time. Maybe are you doing something with your fuel? So there is a system to manage. So in the Gambia, we just have fuel coupons. A fuel coupon is given to a minister. A minister can give 5 fuel coupons to his family member because he's not going to bring back a receipt or anything like that. Or they can even go and forge receipts. That's what they do. Some of them fill their private vehicles with the government fuel coupons. So all of this have to be managed, because if we manage that, we are losing millions out of this fuel control system. The vehicle systems need to be controlled. That way we can have more money for the police. We can provide them the equipment and the resources that they need so that crime rate can be reduced. So without wasting much of, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Farmara, for your briefing.
Thanks, Farmara. I'm glad you said a proposal on Facebook about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, in proposing all of what you just said is in my civil service reform proposal, and is on Facebook.
Very good.
Everything you just said is all in there. So.
The question I have, sorry, Mr. Sawaneh, the question I have is, we've been talking about reforms, how many years now? Can somebody list for me which reform and how many of them are already made? Because we're having December and half a year, so the next election. Can somebody tell me what reforms do we have now?
We have the civil service reform. We have the security reform. And then also, the draft constitution or whatever,
Yeah.
that's all in there. I think the electoral bill also, something like that, the corruption bill. So all of these are, I think there are 5 of them, if I could remember, 5 reforms that they're thinking they want to do,
And on top of that,
But
But
none
of the reforms.
of them is complete,
That,
right?
that means none of the reforms people have been talking for years, none of them is being done.
Yep.
No,
I
no,
think,
to tell me.
they're all hanging in the balance there.
We
Yeah,
can
that
talk
means
about
it's not
reforms.
done. That
Yeah,
means it's
Waiting
not
for
done.
others to come and
Yeah.
complete them.
Yeah.
That
We can
means
talk
it's
about
not.
reforms. We can talk about all these monies out there, but once the political will is not there to implement these reforms effectively, it's not going to happen. So that is why I would argue that reform efforts are stalled in the Gambia at the moment. That's why we are facing a lot of these challenges. And I believe even some of our donors are beginning to raise questions about these reforms, especially the security sector reforms.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. So I think we really exhaust this topic. Dr. Minteh, thank you for your time and then your input.
Thank you,
on
Dr.
this.
Minteh.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
all
Sam.
for your input.
Famara, Sawaneh.
Famara.
Thank you, Famara. Thank you.
Thank you
I will
all.
say all Americans. So bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Minteh. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Moro Barakawai.
All right, no problem, Minteh.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. It was a great one.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.